raise your glasses for the most popular mutant in film history, the freaking Wolverine. Logan's been around for longer than some of us have been alive, and that's more than enough to justify why so many fans worship him like a holy deity. Of course, I'm here to count down epic moments, so today I'm presenting the times when Wolverine went God mode. Like, share and subscribe for your daily dose of Adamantium blessings. The Wolverine was a pretty neat film and definitely saved the franchise some face off for the mess with X-Men Origins. It may not have made $1 billion at the box office, but it did set the Wolverine narrative on some kind of direction, and the movie also gave us some amazing scenes in the process.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Now there's one moment I want to talk about where Logan definitely made himself look like some kind of angry deity. It's the funeral scene where the rival Yakuza goons make a sudden appearance and try to get rid of everyone, but of course they forget the fact that one of their targets happened to be a deadly weapon. The way Wolverine slashes through all those falls without even the slightest bit of hesitation was truly a sight to behold, and we also got to see how swift he can be with his attacks. Now I know the scene progresses into Wolverine starting to feel the heat, especially because of that heart parasite that put his healing powers on hold, but even then, bro refused to give up and cut through a whole bunch of dudes regardless. There's also the fact that he still wanted to make sure his precious Mariko was safe, but hey, it's still an elite display. Okay, so I'm aware that fans all over the world didn't take too kindly to this moment, and it kind of proves what I said in the previous entry to be somewhat incorrect, but let me present my case, okay? Sure, for the Wolverine to be able to grow back his bone claws after losing his adamantium ones may not have made a lot of sense, but think of it this way. The Wolverine had reserve weapons in store just in case his unbreakable claws did get broken. Bro's got more protection than a life insurance scheme. Anyway, the whole point of me including this moment where Logan bids farewell to his buddy Yashida is that he ended his relationship with the same man whom he'd saved all those years ago. It's a poetic moment, and I suppose it was a neat touch to show the Wolverine with the same claws that he had when he first met Yashida. Defeating the Silver Samurai is an act worthy of the gods, and don't forget when he ripped his armor off with his bare hands before landing his finisher move. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that there may be a lot of discourse regarding this scene, but the point stands that Logan always has backup waiting around the corner.
Sayonara.
Put the knives down!
I can't. Look.
If you're an FPS shooter game lover or even zombie film enthusiast, a headshot should be more than enough to get rid of your opponent. Well, that kind of logic doesn't apply to the Wolverine because that dude can recover from just about anything. Well, apart from a broken heart. Technically speaking, getting a bullet to the head should pretty much be the end of any living being, so to simply shoot it out like a rejected piece of popcorn is as godly as a recovery can get. If you think about it, this scene has a lot of religious parallels. First you've got an idol getting shot right in front of you, then the worshipper loses his mind and wreaks havoc by burning everything around him, and finally the idol comes back from the dead as if nothing even happened. In all honesty, Pyro should have known that Logan didn't meet his end due to a lame cop shooting a basic bullet, but then again, you know how stands like to behave when their hero's attacked by others. The true god moment here though is the fact that Logan chose not to use violence against the cops. Now, ain't that something?
No, listen to me, Logan! No, stop! Logan!
You're not gonna wanna watch this part!
No, listen to me, please!
Damn, this video opened with a lot of entries from this movie, eh? I guess it just goes to show that the film is pretty underrated and deserves more credit. Anyway, I just had to include this moment because, why not? It's got Logan literally reaching into his heart so he can get rid of that weird parasite that was blocking his healing powers. This isn't just a random badass moment for the Wolverine because it's such a different kind of flex. Bro reached into the depths of his own soul and came out as the victor. That's as holy as it can get for a dude like him. This scene almost made me flinch at first because it was way more graphic than your usual X-Men flicks. As a matter of fact, it was almost matching the maturity of the comics. Like, imagine trying to remain conscious while you're reaching into your own chest cavity to pull something out without fainting. It doesn't matter if you're a mutant or not, the point remains that it's a god tier moment. I've got to give James Mangold credit for ramping up the intensity here because he added a lot of value to the scene.
Don't hit my friends.
Where's Mariko? She's gone.
I'm neither here nor there when it comes to plus-size people, but even then, you've got to admit that the Blob is just freaking ridiculous. The Wolverine thought the same way because he sure as heck didn't spare him mercy during their little encounter. The best part of this scene for me is that Blob doesn't mind when Logan calls him fat, but only got mad when he misheard Bob as Blob.
Listen, I ain't leaving here till you tell me where Victor is. Come on, Bob, for old time's sake, huh?
Did you just call me?
It's subtle yet funny and leads to a pretty interesting fight. Now, to take down someone who's as big as a Blob, you'd probably need like a tank or something like that, but Wolverine has a skeleton made of adamantium, so he doesn't need any extra support. His punches may not have done anything to Fred, but that final strike to the head was some holy redemption method. Bro really just needed one shot to take down a dude who looks like he ate another 10 dudes. Okay, that may have been mean, but I can't help it. Just look at this man. Anyway, the brief battle looked exactly like some David versus Goliath matchup, which is probably why it feels almost surreal even though it's in a basic setting. When it comes to mutants who like to use sharp objects as their weapons, there's no one who can ever top Wolverine. Spike should have known that before he went in with his basic spikes into the forest battle. He even had a whole squad for backup, but you're dealing with an animalistic god who's pretty much in his element when it comes to charging at people in the middle of the woods. I like how they showed Logan's reactions to getting attacked by the spikes. You can see that they hurt him, but at the end of the day, it's of no use because he can simply heal anyway. Bro even used Spike's own weapon against him before he went around tearing the entire backup squad to shreds. If that wasn't badass enough, he took down Spike in an epic duel right after. The Wolverine's confidence is so obvious yet so subtle, he knew that he'd come out on top even if he took a hit, and that's exactly what happened. Come to think of it, there's quite a few parallels between this scene and the Berserker rage outburst in 2017's Logan. Who knows, maybe they took some inspiration from there. Yes, I've become a bit more accepting of the fact that the fake Deadpool wasn't the worst possible thing to have happened to the X-Men franchise. That title now goes to Dark Phoenix. However, as much as we like to berate the character, we can't forget the fact that he's overpowered beyond our wildest imaginations. Bro can heal, use adamantium blades, shoot lasers from his eyes, teleport, and God knows what else.
What?
The fact that he was able to take on both Wolverine and Sabretooth at the same time is a testament to how deadly he could be. This is exactly why Logan's ultimate victory over him deserves to be mentioned. More than anything else, it felt like the Wolverine was banishing this evil being the same way Gandalf banished the Balrog in Lord of the Rings. The way Logan slashes off fake Deadpool's head wasn't just visually epic, it also brought loud cheers to the cinema halls because everyone was so relieved to see that a villain as powerful as this could actually be beaten. Yeah, sure, he apparently comes back to life in the post-credit scene, but nobody really cares about that, so I'm still going to count him as dead. You want to know what makes you deserving of your own comp? It's the fact that you're a veteran of not one but 4 freaking wars. As much as people like to hate on X-Men Origins, and yes, I'm one of those people, we can still agree that the opening sequence was a top moment not just in this movie, but also the whole X-Men universe.
Really?
Now, I know Sabretooth is also part of the sequence, but he doesn't really do much that's noteworthy to us. Logan, on the other hand, not only showcases his fighting abilities with clarity, but also his healing moves, as you can see how he just takes those body shots without even flinching a muscle. We all know how the Wolverine can stand up to anyone in terms of physical strength, but it's also the maturity of the character that really sells this moment. Logan went from a literal god of war to an empathetic man who just wanted to avoid the hassles of violence. It was a neat little trick by the director to place the Wolverine's growing desire for peace in direct parallel with what can only be referred to as Sabretooth's addiction to war. You can even say they were drawing parallels to the Archangels Michael and Lucifer here.
Back!
Now!
Damn it, Logan! Don't do this!
If you're a new mutant who's just starting battle training, then I'm sure having Logan as your sensei would be the best possible thing. Sure, there's Storm as well and she's amazing, but there's just something about having a badass cigar-smoking mutant god teaching you how to flex against giant sentinels. Yeah, I'd almost forgotten that this scene ties into Days of Future Past, which makes the whole thing so much more sensible as well.
Oh, don't get your panties in a bunch.
was my last cigar.
Anyway, I just want to focus on how Wolverine slashes off a robot's entire head after a direct confrontation. It was a perfect way to kick off the final leg of the OG trilogy, although the rest of the film didn't exactly live up to the hype. Anyway, the fact that Wolverine made a young Colossus swing him straight into the firing line in itself showed how fearless he is. Yes, it's a simulation, but come on, anyone would be breaking a sweat if they were up against something as deadly as that oversized Terminator. They don't show how he defeats the robot, but I think it works better that way because it's left to our imagination. And yes, the part where he says "class dismissed" was an added bonus.
Class dismissed.
Over the post-millennium era, we've had 3 different Spider-Men, 3 different Hulks, and God knows how many versions of Batman, but we've only had one Wolverine, and that's Hugh freaking Jackman. Seeing him dominate Sabretooth with such ease in this scene totally makes us realise how powerful he truly is as a mutant. This was Logan in peak form, and we see it in full effect as Sabretooth is left to his mercy in all of 10 business seconds. I just love the rage on display over here from Logan, even though it's for a girl who betrayed him. When it comes to the fight in itself, I don't think it should be considered as a match because we literally witness a thrashing. I don't even think I've ever seen Wolverine win a solo fight with so much dominance. Bro was totally giving God of War vibes. He looks so deadly over here that you genuinely worry if he's going to go on a whole rampage and slash everything in his way. Luckily, Kayla does manage to calm him down, but there's one thing that she was wrong about. The Wolverine is most definitely an animal. He just knows how to keep those instincts in check.
Logan!
You're not an animal.
Oh, yes, you are.
Imagine time traveling to the 70s and waking up to a total knockout. Yeah, that's pretty much what would happen if Hugh Jackman were the man involved. The only thing I would have changed about Wolverine's trip was the timing of him landing up in that bed, if you know what I mean. Anyway, the focus here is how he totally dominates his lady friend's bodyguards right after they catch him pulling an Andrew Tate. Can you even imagine how confident you've got to be to just stand there and blatantly demand the keys to a car plus some extra cash for gas and essentials? It kind of makes me wonder how the Wolverine used to party back in the day. What stands out is how he maintains the same rage and battle style while slicing through his opponents, even though he doesn't have his adamantium claws for support. Also, I just couldn't take my eyes off those muscles. What on earth do you have to eat to get abs like that?
Damn it. I love you.
If we were to consider Jean Grey in her Phoenix form, then it's safe to say she's as powerful as a god. So for the Wolverine to bear through all those psychic attacks and get that close to her was nothing short of an absolute miracle. Bro heals his wounds faster than Taylor Swift switches outfits during her tours, and that's saying something, right? On a serious note though, having healing powers is one thing, and being able to take on such a massive burst of energy is a whole other level. I guess this is why Logan was the only one who could get close enough to Jean right as they would eventually bid their final goodbyes. I mean, now that I think about it, the whole scene felt larger than life and the payoff was a bittersweet moment for us. I can't say the same about Logan though. He could finally shoot his shot now that Cyclops was gone, but had to choose humanity over his troubled heart. I'm not sure how well you remember the OG X-Men film, considering it's over 23 years old now, but I just want to point out that Logan didn't really win any of his mutant battles in that movie. Yeah, he did make a statement, but I personally wanted to see him kick some serious butt. I think the studio execs heard me well. Write that down! Write that down! Because the attack on Stryker's soldiers was exactly what I was hoping to get in the sequel. Yeah, these guys aren't mutants either, but the way Logan takes them down with such ferocity is more than enough to make up for the lack of domination in the previous film. It was a rounded scene which had Mr. Jackman flex his muscles all over the place while also saving his fellow mutants at the X-Mansion. My standout has got to be when he saves Rogue and the others with that sudden sneak attack. That was a move straight out of the WWE handbook. I'm a huge fan of Japanese culture, and I like to think that you feel the same way. Whether it's the scenery, food, or even anime, Japan is one of my dream destinations, and that's one of the reasons why I like 2013's The Wolverine. Hiroyuki Sanada is a legendary actor and has performed countless roles, not just in his home country, but Hollywood as well. He spared no mercy in his performance as Shingen, and the fight scene against Logan was total fan service to those who love samurais. Well, it was obvious that the Wolverine was going to win the fight, but you've also got to give props to Shingen for putting up such a brutal display of skills. As expected though, Logan does emerge victorious, and the God Mode moment for me is when he easily pulls out the sword that stabbed him through his body. Bro even compared himself to a monster right before he did it. That's when you know you can command your own army of devotees, right? Hey look, it's my favourite love to hate it movie. For all the jokes I might have cracked about this one, I can't deny that X-Men Origins gave us the epic transformation that turned Logan into the freaking Wolverine. The main power on display here is Logan's regenerative abilities, but the final shot where he ferociously swings his claws and poses in the nude is an immortal moment in X-Men history. I can only imagine how painful a process like that must have been, and it makes sense for someone like Logan to survive it because, once again, if anyone can do it, it's him. This scene kind of cemented Hugh Jackman's place as Marvel's coolest anti-hero, and you can argue all you want, but there's a reason why he's being brought back for Deadpool 3.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
On a side note though, what on earth was Stryker thinking here? Did he really believe he could control such an overpowered mutant simply by using a random brainwashing trick? Kinda sucks to be Agent Zero, doesn't it? First he gets insulted by Logan in front of his boss and is told to keep his mouth shut. Then when he finally gets the chance to get revenge, it's when his opponent's got a new set of claws. So there are two moments I want to highlight here. Number one is when Logan slices through that Jeep and causes it to fly into the chopper. That sequence alone would have got him into this list, but the way Wolverine uses the advantage to slice the chopper's blades was an added touch of class, which is why he lands in my top 5. This was a taste of his Sigma male energy, because he doesn't really entertain or even acknowledge Agent Zero here. He gets the job done and walks away from the explosion like the boss man that he is. I can see a parallel between this and the tank explosion scene from Iron Man. You want to know how you can be compared to a god? You just fight some Yakuza goons on a bullet train and you'll become an instant legend. The Wolverine was already an icon by this time, but it never hurts to add to your kitty, and that's exactly what he does here in this fight scene. Bullet trains in Japan are no joke, and it shows in how both Logan and his opponents were struggling to land any blows on each other. Of course, the first encounter needed our man to pull a dirty trick, but the highlight is when he lets it rip and literally flies towards the guy approaching Mariko. Can you even imagine how badass Wolverine would become if he had flight powers? He'd basically be like a more brutal version of Superman, but still purer at heart than Homelander. Man, this movie is notching up quite a few entries here, isn't it? But then again, can I really leave out this scene? If you thought the Jean Grey moment was epic back in 2006, I'm sure this entry must have taken you by surprise, just like me. Bro absorbs the freaking Nagasaki bomb and regenerates as if he's just suffered a minor burn. No wonder he was so confident against the Phoenix, eh? I'm still clueless as to why Yashida would do his savior dirty dozens of years later, but, well, I guess you never can explain a villain's intentions, can you? There's no brutal attack or savage line delivery, it's just plain and simple defense, which is often overlooked as a superpower. But yeah, if you can survive something like that and recover only a few seconds later, you're definitely worthy of God status. Jean Grey and Logan have a complicated relation, don't they? Considering they were almost lovers in the OG trilogy, it was a little awkward to see the Sansa version of Jean freeing Logan in a reality where he became Stryker's slave mutant. Now, I'm not here to comment on the age gap or anything like that, so let's just focus on how the Wolverine savagely rips through an entire army of soldiers looking deadlier than ever. It was almost as if he was just waiting for this moment to happen, and when it did, our man ensured he would make it count. I'm still a little sad that he didn't get any lines of dialogue here, but hey, if you're a god level mutant, you don't need to use a lot of words. Even Kevin gets that. Okay, now this is the literal definition of God mode. It really pained me to see Logan struggling so much with his health in his self-titled finale film, and I was desperately rooting for some kind of release moment throughout the movie. That moment finally came when he injected the mutant serum into his body and became the Wolverine once again. Apart from the epic fight choreography and excellent direction, the emotional weight this scene holds can never be underestimated. It was the last time Logan got in touch with the monster inside him, and he could finally rest in peace knowing that he'd come to terms with the duality that caused years and years of conflict within him. Okay, alright, I might be getting a little philosophical here, but can you really blame me? We're talking about a mutant god after all. Hope you liked the video, so please subscribe to the channel and check the descriptions for links to my socials. In the meantime, here's another video that I know you'll enjoy.